Imagine this. You're at a party, the music low and moody, shadows dancing against the walls. Laughter swells around you like ocean waves, yet you feel an invisible barrier between you and something essential. You see him, leaning against the counter, effortlessly magnetic. His eyes scan the room like he's waiting for something, or someone. You want to walk over. You want him to notice. You need him to see you as unforgettable. Not just attractive, not just beautiful, unforgettable. But you don't move. Why? Maybe you've been told that men should chase. Or maybe you've heard that love, real love, just happens. But nights keep passing, and still, you're alone. Meanwhile, you scroll through filtered lives on social media, watching women less radiant than you capture the very things you long for. How do they do it? Why do some women seem to effortlessly magnetize men, while others, perhaps more intelligent, more sincere, more emotionally available, are left waiting? Now hold that discomfort. Let it tighten around your chest a little. Because that paradox you're feeling, that ache, that's the space where truth begins to break through illusion. You've heard the usual advice: be yourself. Don't try too hard. He'll come when you least expect it. But if that worked, would you still be watching this? Let's ask a dangerous question. What if getting a man isn't about waiting at all? What if it's about knowing how to be seen in a world trained not to see you? And more than that, what if everything you've believed about love, timing, and attraction was designed not to empower you, but to pacify you? You see, every day you're told to trust the process. But what if the process was built to delay your fulfillment instead of accelerate it? What if passivity has been disguised as virtue, and patience sold to you as wisdom, just to keep you from acting with clarity and power? What if you could flip the script, not by pretending, not by playing dumb or playing games, but by understanding the secret architecture of male desire, by unlocking the psychology that makes a man feel something he can't explain, but can't ignore? Imagine no longer being the woman who's so nice but somehow overlooked, no longer being the best friend or almost, no longer needing to chase, wait, wonder, cry, or question. Imagine being the woman who enters the room and bends gravity itself, not because of your appearance, but because of how you move, how you radiate, how you understand. But here's the twist. It's not about manipulation. It's not even about looks. It's about perception. You don't get a man by changing yourself. You get him by revealing something most women bury. And the terrifying truth? Most of us bury it on purpose. Why? Because power is uncomfortable. Being fully seen is uncomfortable. And being a woman who knows what she wants and dares to act is still, in some circles, quietly punished. But let me ask you, how long will you shrink to make others comfortable? How long will you silence your hunger in the name of waiting for the right time? There is no right time. There is only now. And if you're still watching, still listening, then maybe you're ready to stop waiting for fate and start becoming fate for someone else. The next part won't be soft. It won't be diluted, and it will not be for the faint of heart, because we're about to name the 7 ways, 7 lenses, 7 shifts, 7 initiations that can make a man not just desire you, but need you in his world the way lungs need air. You don't need to lower your standards. You don't need to beg. You don't need to break yourself into smaller pieces to fit into someone else's life. You need to understand something far deeper. What makes a man feel chosen, not chased? And how do you become the woman who activates that primal clarity in him? If that question stirs something inside you, good. That means you're ready. In the next section, we name them. 1 to 7. Each a key, each a doorway into a version of yourself you've only glimpsed in dreams. But first, take a breath. Because once we start down this path, there's no unseeing it. No going back to the illusion. No more waiting. Are you ready? Let's begin. Number 1. Become the mirror he's afraid to look into. A man isn't drawn to perfection. He's drawn to the feeling of recognition, the soul-deep jolt of seeing something in you that reflects the parts of himself he's never dared to explore. When you try to impress him, you create distance. But when you reflect him, his pain, his potential, his hunger, you draw him in like gravity. This isn't about agreeing with him or mimicking his interests. It's about knowing how to listen into someone. Real listening is rare. It's presence without judgment. It's silence that speaks louder than words. And when a man feels seen, not for who he pretends to be, but for who he secretly is, his defenses drop. To become the mirror, stop performing. Start observing. What does he hide? What does he fear? What makes his voice shake just slightly? If you can sense the wound under his words and respond with silent strength, not pity, you become unforgettable. Number 2, own your erotic innocence. You've been told to choose the Madonna or the temptress, the pure or the powerful, but that dichotomy is a lie. The woman who gets the man fast is the one who dissolves it. She owns both, innocence and seduction. She is softness wrapped in mystery. Erotic innocence isn't about overt sexuality. It's about aliveness. It's the way you sip your drink, the way your eyes linger just 1 second too long. It's the way you laugh from your belly unfiltered. It's being unapologetically in your body. Most women have been taught to dull their light to avoid judgment. You have to reverse this. Don't sexualize yourself, sensualize your presence. Be fully present in your skin. Breathe deeper. Speak slower. Look people in the eye longer. Let your joy and depth pulse visibly through your body. That energy doesn't just attract, it haunts. Number 3, trigger his hero instinct, but not how you think. There's an outdated cliche, make him feel like a man. But you're not here to stroke egos, you're here to awaken purpose. The real hero instinct isn't about flattery, it's about evoking a mission. Men are drawn to what challenges them to rise, but not through nagging, pleading, or needing. The magnetic woman holds a high standard, and then walks away if it's not met. Not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect. Want to get him fast? Become the woman whose presence demands evolution. When he feels that he has to earn your world, not because you said so, but because your life reflects it, he'll either disappear or step up. Either way, you win. Number 4, use the art of absence. Most women overgive when they want someone. They text first. They explain. They overcompensate. And in doing so, they erase their mystery. But absence is an art form. It's not playing hard to get. It's being hard to forget. Why do so many women forget their power? Who benefits when you doubt your worth? And what ancient wounds are we still carrying into modern love? The answers will challenge everything. Click subscribe. You don't want to miss what comes next. There's a strange emptiness hiding beneath modern dating culture. A hollowness dressed in filters, witty text exchanges, and perfectly curated profiles. But if you look close, beneath the games, beneath the memes, beneath the language of high value and leveling up, you'll see it. A quiet ache, a fundamental disconnection, not just between people, but between people and themselves. Let's ask the question that no one dares to ask aloud. Why do we even need these 7 ways to get a man in the first place? Why are we strategizing to be seen? Why do we obsess over responses, signals, and timing? Why do we spend so much time calculating our own worth? The answer isn't that we're weak, or desperate, or needy. The answer is older than you think, more philosophical than you've been told, and more psychological than you realize. To find the roots, we must look backward. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And for centuries, the unconscious wounds of women have gone unexamined, repressed beneath roles handed down by religion, economics, and culture. Historically, a woman's value was externalized, measured by marriageability, fertility, chastity, status, obedience. The archetype of the desirable woman was always shaped through the eyes of men. And so, even today, you may think you're acting freely. But so much of your desire for validation is not your desire. It's inherited. It's ancestral. It's woven into the collective unconscious of what it means to be enough. That's why modern advice often fails. It treats symptoms, not the disease. It gives you scripts, but never tells you why you feel so hollow without attention, why you feel a surge of power when he texts back, and a pit of despair when he doesn't. This isn't about getting a man, it's about recovering your selfhood. Arthur Schopenhauer once suggested that love is not pure joy, but nature's trick to ensure reproduction. He believed our attraction was unconscious strategy, not personal but biological. So when you feel drawn to someone, you might think it's soul deep, but beneath that may be a primal force, one that doesn't care if you're loved, only that your genes survive. Think about that for a second. Could it be that what we call love is sometimes a beautifully disguised evolutionary compulsion? That means when a man pulls away and you panic, it might not be personal. It might be evolutionary tension surfacing, a survival script activating in your nervous system. And that script tells you, I must not be rejected. I must be chosen, or I'll be alone. And if I'm alone, I will not survive. Of course, in today's world, you will survive. But your nervous system still responds like it's 30,000 years ago. That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to become aware of it. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, claimed that humans are condemned to be free, meaning there is no blueprint, no inherent purpose. We must create our meaning, and that's terrifying. So we cling to relationships, to roles, to being chosen, because to be alone, truly alone, means facing the existential void. But what if being alone was not emptiness, but potential? What if your deepest power is found not when you are wanted, but when you no longer need to be? And then there's the cultural layer. Every magazine, song, movie, and influencer subtly reinforces this, that your worth is proven when someone else declares it. And so love becomes a performance. Men become trophies, and relationships become prisons of mutual manipulation. You're told you must be just feminine enough to attract, but not so bold that you scare him. You must be confident, but still flattering. Independent, but not too independent. Is it any wonder you feel fractured? You were never taught to be whole. You were taught to split yourself for approval. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, believed the deepest drive in humanity is not pleasure, but meaning. And that's what you really want, isn't it? Not just a man, but meaningful connection. Not just attention, but attunement. Not just love, but truth. And you'll never get that by hiding. You'll never get that. by playing roles handed to you, by a society that profits from your insecurity. You must step outside the loop. You must become sovereign. And here's the deepest cut. You were never meant to chase a man. You were meant to become so deeply rooted in your own truth that the right man finds himself altered by your presence. The strategies you've learned, the texting rules, the don't double message, the waiting 3 days, they were invented for people who are too afraid to be honest. But you are not here to be small. You are here to disrupt patterns, to embody a frequency that no algorithm can fake. And that is what these 7 ways are truly about. Not getting a man, but getting yourself back. Your intuition, your fire, your self-respect, your radical authenticity. Because when you reclaim that, men don't just come, they converge. Not because you need them, but because you are whole, and wholeness attracts everything it desires. You begin to believe love equals anxiety. You begin to think absence equals attraction. You begin to settle for attention instead of connection. And worst of all, you begin to mold yourself into the shape someone else wants, hoping that if you get it just right, they'll stay. That is the slow death of the self. And millions of women are living it in silence. Let's talk about cognitive biases, those invisible scripts. Your brain runs on autopilot. Confirmation bias makes you look for evidence that you're not lovable. Negativity bias makes one cold text feel louder than 10 warm ones. Scarcity bias convinces you that he's the best I'll get. So even when you meet someone kind, healthy, and consistent, your mind sabotages it. Why? Because chaos feels safer than peace. Chaos is what you know. And peace? Peace requires receiving love without fear. But there's something even darker beneath all this. The commodification of women. In dating apps, you're a profile, a swipe, a thumbnail image in a feed of infinite options. Your worth is reduced to symmetry, angles, clever bios. And even outside the apps, it's no better. You're told to be marketable, to be low maintenance, to be fun but not too serious, ambitious but never intimidating, sexy but only in the right way. You become a brand designed for male consumption. And in the process, your humanity gets erased. Your depth, your complexity, your soul, all traded for algorithms of attraction. Here's the truth no one profits from telling you. Your worth has nothing to do with how desirable you are. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose what you tolerate, to choose what you reflect, to choose whether you bend or rise. And when you stop measuring your value by how fast you can get a man, you become the kind of woman who doesn't chase love. She creates it. She embodies it. She attracts it effortlessly because she no longer needs it to complete her. That is the beginning of true magnetism. But there's one last step, because even now, after all this, you might still feel the tug, that inner whisper asking, "But what if I'm still not enough?" That question is the final illusion, and in the last section, we will destroy it. We will pull back the veil and reveal the ultimate truth. The paradigm shift so profound, it doesn't just change how you date, it changes how you exist. There's a moment, a flicker, a breath. You've just finished crying on the bathroom floor after yet another unread message. The mirror in front of you doesn't lie, but you wish it would. And then, in that silence, something strange happens. You don't reach for your phone. You don't text him. You don't open Instagram to numb the ache. You just sit, still, silent, awake. And for the first time, the real question rises. Not the one you've been trained to ask, but the one your soul has been dying to speak. What if I was never meant to be pursued? What if I was meant to become a force that is followed? This is the ultimate truth. You are not a prize. You are a portal, a gateway through which men either rise or run. You are not something to win. You are someone to meet, and only a man ready to meet himself, his fear, his longing, his deepest truth, will be capable of meeting you. Every tactic, every strategy, every step you've taken was never about getting a man. It was your soul's secret way of bringing you back to yourself. Because that's the real magnetism. Not pretending, not performing, not packaging yourself into bite-sized perfection, but standing in your sacred contradictions, fierce and soft, loving and wild, humble and untouchably powerful. And here's the paradox. The more you chase love, the more it runs. But the moment you become love, it stops in its tracks, unable to look away. Because a woman in her truth doesn't attract boys. She draws in men who have been starving for something real. She doesn't beg for attention. She commands respect without saying a word. She doesn't play games. She plays symphonies. Because her presence is music. Layered, haunting, unforgettable. This is your invitation to step out of the survival loop, to exit the dating rat race, to stop contorting yourself into the woman you think men want, and to start becoming the woman you came here to be. Because once you do, he changes. Or more accurately, the kind of man you attract changes. You'll notice them. The ones who aren't intimidated by your strength. The ones who don't disappear when you speak your truth. The ones who don't just want your body or your energy or your light. They want your mind, your mission, your mystery, because they've done the work, and they recognize in you what they've barely begun to recognize in themselves. That's what sacred union is. Not completion, but reflection. Two whole people meeting not to fill emptiness, but to multiply depth. So what do you do now? You stop trying to get a man, and you become the kind of woman who bends time, who causes people to question their path just by walking past them, who never begs, who never dims, who does not need a throne, because everywhere she stands becomes one. The ultimate truth is not a rule, it's not a technique, it's a revelation that the man you want is not found by moving faster, texting smarter, or appearing sexier. He is drawn into your orbit by one thing only, your embodiment of your essence, not the essence others approve of, not the essence you were told was acceptable, your raw, unfiltered, untamed truth. He won't recognize it immediately. It may even scare him, but something in his bones will feel it, and he'll return, again and again and again, not because you trapped him, but because you freed him. So here is your final mirror. Stop asking, how do I get a man? Start asking, what kind of woman do I need to become to never ask that question again? Because that woman, she doesn't chase, she doesn't convince, she doesn't shrink. She simply stands, like a storm on the horizon, like a sunrise over ruins, like a myth that every man was told in childhood, but didn't believe until he saw you. Let this be your closing breath. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to awaken, and when you awaken, everything finds you. Now rise and watch what begins to arrive.